Hello, welcome to True Crime Talk. Today I'm going to be talking about the case of Daniel Robinson. It is coming up upon his 2-year anniversary of having gone missing in Arizona. His dad, David Robinson, I believe is his name, has a website for his son. It's called Please Help Find Daniel. It's pleasehelpfinddaniel.com if you want to look it up. And this, of course, is a picture of his missing son, Daniel Robinson. And he has information about his son, where you can donate, how to volunteer. I'm not sure if they're currently doing volunteer searches, but they have the info. All the updated info will be on this website. And upcoming on June 23rd, which is the 2-year anniversary of his having gone missing, they're going to be having a light a candle at sunset. It's going to be a virtual Unity candlelight vigil. And it says, for geologist Daniel C. Robinson, bringing families together, June 23rd, 2023, light a candle at sunset. Location, remote participation on channel below. And then it gives, we can go to his YouTube channel. So I'm going to scroll down to find the information about his case. Okay, about Daniel's disappearance. Daniel Robinson was last seen the morning of June 23rd, 2021, leaving his work site in Buckeye, Arizona. He was driving his 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade and is believed to have headed west, deeper into desert terrain. On Tuesday, July 19th, so it's almost a month later, a few days short of a month, 2021, Daniel's vehicle was found by a rancher a little over 2.5 miles from the work site in a remote part of the desert. On that day, the rancher reported the vehicle to Buckeye Police Department, who later did a search by ground and drone. The vehicle was recovered. Daniel was not found. Daniel has an innate passion for adventure and is known to travel in opportune moments. However, he always has communicated with family on his travel plans. That day, Daniel was on the job when he went missing and was said to have been last seen by a worker from another company who worked with him at a well. He made plans to be with family before going missing and looked forward to that meeting in July. Daniel is a scientist that loves nature, loves his family, and expressed plans for his future. A missing persons report was filed the evening Daniel was last seen, and since then, our family have utilized all avenues to get law enforcement's help by asking them to launch an investigation into what happened to Daniel. Our next goal is to continue pushing forward to find out what happened to Daniel, even if it means no help from law enforcement. We will continue to seek support from anyone who wants to help. We won't settle for the minimum amount of searches and support sworn law enforcement officers and detectives are giving Daniel's case. The way that Daniel's case was handled from day one by law enforcement can easily cause him to become one of the many missing without ever having answers. This website was created by the Robinson family. There is no other website that is associated with us. This website is where you will get up-to-date information that we can share with the public. Also, I will express the facts as I know them. Please join the blog community chat to discuss with the family directly. Thank you for your support, love, and prayers. God bless. David Robinson II. Okay, and I'm going to read an article in the news about what's going on with this case. Let's see. Nearly 2 years after Daniel Robinson went missing, police share updating case. Detectives continue to process his electronic devices, including personal computers, a work computer, and an iPad. So this article was published 4:35 p.m. May 31st, 2023 this year, and it was updated 10:15 p.m. the same day. Buckeye, Arizona. This is from News 12 or 12 News. Let's see what it says. It's been nearly 2 years since Daniel Robinson was reported missing. The geologist was last seen on June 23rd, 2021, leaving a job site near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in Buckeye. His Jeep Renegade was found nearly a month later, rolled over in a ravine by a rancher 4 miles from the site. Robinson's missing person case is open and active, the Buckeye Police Department said Wednesday. releasing more details in the case. Detectives were able to uncover location data in Robinson's cell phone, placing the phone at the crash site at approximately 10:05 a.m. the morning Daniel went missing, police said. Detectives continue to process his electronic devices, including personal computers, a work computer, and an iPad. Detectives have also followed leads from people who said they might have had contact with Robinson before he went missing, but police said those tips have not led to anything. Back in February, detectives searched a well after a report of human remains but found nothing. So apparently somebody reported seeing human remains in a well, but nothing was found. David Robinson, Daniel's father, has been heavily involved in the search for his son by holding regular search parties and combing the desert for evidence. The FBI has been briefed on the case twice, police said. Anyone with information on this case is urged to contact the Buckeye Police tip line at 623-349-6411. Okay, so this is what, according to 12 News, is going on with this case right now. But for June 23rd, there is a virtual candlelight vigil that's going to be held. I'm going to find the links to his YouTube. Here we go. I'm going to click on this. So this is David Robinson's the family's Please Help Find Daniel YouTube page. And it has videos talking about the upcoming Unity Candlelight Vigil for Daniel. It has all kinds of videos that you can watch to get more information about this case. Have live stream, videos, shorts. And this is his father, David Robinson, who, of course, is working very hard to find out what happened to his son. It's been almost 2 years, and still he doesn't have any answers. He doesn't know where his son is, and he has no certain answer on whether his son is dead or alive. Let's read about Daniel Robinson was last seen the morning of June 23rd, 2021, leaving his work site in Buckeye, Arizona. He was driving his 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade and is believed to have headed west deeper into desert terrain. We have searched for him every week with our own volunteers, funding, and resources, and hope that law enforcement and the FBI will also help us. And it says how you can help: sign the petition, donate to our GoFundMe, and sign up to volunteer in our desert and city searches. If you know anything, please contact our anonymous tip line at 844-602-0660. And it has his Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok pages where you can find. So he is doing all he can to keep his son's name and picture out there to help find him. And some more pictures of his son. And as you can see, he's missing part of his right arm. He's missing his right hand. And that's what he looked like the time he went missing. And also, I was going to click on his Instagram page. And here is the Please Help Find Daniel Instagram page, his father and family set up. That's him right there, looking all handsome in a suit. Remember, he's a geologist, and that's his dad. So his dad and family is working hard to do everything they can to keep the word out there about his missing son. As I need your continued help and dedication to my cause. Thank you to all who have contributed in many forms to help me continue my fight. This fight is not in vain. My son remains missing. His case is far from a cold case status. I need your help to keep law enforcement from handling it that way. So he's trying to keep it from being handled like a cold case. He wants it to keep it hot. And according to 12 News, the police are still currently working on it. So hopefully soon they can find some answers for him. The police recently released a police report in this case. They say it's not everything involved in this case because this is still an open and active investigation, but they released some of the information to the public, and I don't know if it's because the family demanded that they do it or the media requested it, but they did release a 128-page police report. Maybe it's just public information, so they had to release it. So I'm going to read some of the information in this police report. I'm not going to read all of it, of course, but it is online in a PDF format where anybody can have access to it and read it. This is the official police report from, I believe it's Buckeye Police. Let me scroll up here and see. Yeah, Buckeye Police Department police report for incident 210-623-079 involving a missing person. So I'm going to scroll back and start about page 10 to read some information. Let's see. David reported Daniel's employer is Matrix Groundwater and that Daniel's job site was located at an unknown spot in Buckeye, west of the White Tank Mountains. David reported Daniel has no known medical issues but had been acting strange. And I'm assuming the David in this report is his father. His father is the David Robinson who officially reported his son as missing. So it says David reported Daniel has no known medical issues but had been acting strange. No details were provided into what was strange about Daniel's actions. David reported Daniel drives a light blue 2017 Jeep Renegade. Upon review of the said information, I was aware that upon conclusion of Officer Cruz's investigation, Daniel was not able to be located. Daniel was then entered into the NCIC-ACIC as missing. Additionally, I became aware that Daniel was last seen by his co-worker identified as Kenneth Willard P. blank, date of birth blank, driving away from Daniel's job site. So Daniel was last seen by his co-worker driving away from the job site that they were both at. Officer Cruz documented in his report that he spoke to Kenneth and obtained the location of the job site. And Kenneth is the co-worker. The job site was located about 1 mile west of North Sun Valley Parkway and about 2,000 feet north of West Cactus Road. Furthermore, upon review of Officer Cruz's report, I became aware that Kenneth reported access to the job site was via a dirt road which starts on the west side of North Sun Valley Parkway at Cactus Road. From there is a dirt road which continues west for about 1 mile, then splits up into a dirt road that goes north and a dirt road that continues west. Kenneth advised at the split in the dirt road, you go north for about 2,000 feet and you will be at the site. So it's out there in the desert, way off the beaten path. Let's see. Upon review of Officer Cruz's report, I became aware that Kenneth believed Daniel was acting odd. So remember earlier in the report, there's something his dad, David, used the words that his son had been acting strange, but no further information was given. And then at this part in the report, his co-worker Kenneth on that day advised I became aware that Kenneth believed Daniel was acting odd. So his co-worker used the word odd at the job site and that he last saw Daniel drive away from the job site going south. Additionally, Kenneth reported he was not sure if Daniel made it to the said split in the roadway on the dirt trail. So Kenneth, his co-worker, said that he didn't know exactly which way Daniel went because he wasn't sure if he made it to the split back in the roadway on the dirt trail. Kenneth advised after some time he began looking around the area, and at the split in the roadway, Kenneth, found what looked like fresh tire tracks which went west at the split in the roadway. Officer Cruz documented in his report that numerous attempts to contact Daniel but received negative contact. Furthermore, he documented he and Buckeye PD Officer Thatcher searched the area for Daniel but did not locate Daniel or his Jeep Renegade. So apparently the police tried to call his cell phone and got no answer, no response. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. After I attempted, contact with David. This is the father. After I attempted contact with Daniel by phone, I called David. David answered, and he talked about the situation. I informed David of who I was and that I was continuing to investigate the situation regarding Daniel going missing. David was asked if he has since heard from Daniel or if he knew of Daniel's whereabouts. David advised he had not heard from Daniel and didn't know where Daniel was at. Excuse me. I asked David if he knew of any locations where Daniel would go. David said he didn't know of any specific locations. I asked David if Daniel had any family or friends in Arizona. David advised David, lives in South Carolina and that Daniel's mother lives there too. He said Daniel's sister lives in California, but he didn't know her specific address in California. David said Daniel lives alone in Arizona. Daniel's other sister, identified as Davisha Lafayette blank, date of birth blank, was the only family member which lives in Arizona. So apparently Daniel had only one family member living in Arizona, which was a sister. And I don't know if they live close by or far apart. David said he has since been in contact with Davisha as well as the rest of their family, but no one has heard from Daniel or knew Daniel's whereabouts. David provided me with Davisha's contact information as I was not aware of it at the time. I asked David if he was aware of Daniel having any medical and/or mental health issues. David said he was not aware of Daniel having any medical or mental health issues. David stated that Daniel had been acting odd lately. So here again, this time his father uses the word odd like his coworker did. So apparently Daniel had been acting odd, which we can take as meaning he wasn't acting like his normal self. I asked David if he can explain what he meant by this. David stated within the last few weeks, Daniel had told him he had met a woman and that he was in love with her. David said Daniel didn't appear to know anything about the woman and that he thought it was odd he was in love with her. So I guess Daniel was telling his father that he was in love with somebody, but he didn't know a lot about the woman, so his father thought that was odd, and that can be odd. David did not provide any I lost my place. There we go. David did not provide any other examples of why he believed Daniel was acting odd, so I asked David if he had ever observed Daniel doing and or saying anything that would suggest he, Daniel, wanted to hurt and or unalive himself. David advised he had not observed anything like that. I then asked David if he had heard any information from anyone else about Daniel wanting to hurt and or unalive himself. David said he has not heard anything like that from anyone else. Ultimately, David reported no information that suggested Daniel was wanting to unalive himself or that Daniel wanted to hurt himself. I asked David if Daniel uses any drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, etc. David said he was only aware of Daniel using marijuana. I asked David if Daniel had any social media accounts, and if he did, has David checked them to see if Daniel has posted any photos or information on the accounts since he went missing. David told me Daniel does have an Instagram account and a Facebook account. David checked them while he was on the phone with me and advised he did not see any new information on the accounts. David said Daniel's photos on his Instagram account appeared to have been removed since he has gone missing. David said the photos were on Daniel's Instagram account prior to him going missing. So that's interesting. So apparently Daniel had photos up on Instagram, but after he went missing, his father didn't see those same photos there. David provided me with Daniel's account names for Facebook and for Instagram. He also described the image photo used by Daniel for each account. They are as follows. And it talks about his Instagram and Facebook accounts. I asked David if he had ever met the women or woman, I don't know if it's one woman or more than one, which Daniel had recently told him about. David said no. I asked David if he knew her name or had any information about her. So apparently they're talking about one woman. Okay, just a misspelling. I asked David if he knew her name or had any info about her. David said her name is Caitlin and that he was able to locate her Instagram account. Her account information was reported as the following. And it shows about her Instagram account. I asked David if he had any other concerns for Daniel. David advised this situation was just not like Daniel to do. David advised that Daniel has never done anything like this before, especially not notifying anyone about what was going on. I informed David I would contact him later with the outcome of my investigation. I told David that he needed to report to police any information regarding Daniel's whereabouts and or contact from Daniel. David said he would, and we disconnected. And then after that, the police officer calls the sister who apparently lived in Arizona too. The sister's name Davisha. And Davisha answered the phone and they talked about the situation. And the police goes on to say that he asked Davisha if she knew of any locations where Daniel would go. Davisha said she was unaware of any specific locations. And he also asked if Daniel had any family or friends in Arizona and informed her of David's report of family and friends that he reported to me. Davisha advised she was not aware of any other family or friends to contact other than what had been already reported by David. So just to sum it up, Daniel was a young geologist who was working in Arizona, but he was not from Arizona. So he lived in Arizona alone. And apparently, before he had lived close to family and friends, and now he was in Arizona basically alone, although he did have a sister living somewhere in Arizona. But he was new to the area and didn't have a lot of friends, and he was doing his new job as a young man, 24 years old. So that just, puts into perspective what his state of mind might have been like. He's young and he's in an area, he doesn't have any friends or close friends close by or family members close by. So maybe they weren't aware of everything that was going on with him in his life, possibly. The officer asked Davisha if she was aware of Daniel having any medical and or mental health issues. Davisha said she was not aware of Daniel having any medical or mental health issues. And I don't know how close Daniel and Davisha are or what their ages are. So I don't know if she was able, to speak about his current mental state or medical state. I don't know, when the last time she had contact with him. I informed Davisha that David and Kenneth reported Daniel was acting odd to them. So his coworker and dad had reported that he was acting odd, and the information they reported about this. I asked Davisha if she had any knowledge of Daniel acting odd lately. Davisha said once Daniel came over once to her apartment and would just sit there for about 30 minutes and wouldn't say anything. Oh, so apparently he did visit her in her apartment in Arizona, so apparently they weren't that far away from each other. So he went over to visit and sat there for 30 minutes and didn't say anything. That would be odd behavior. She said she tried to talk to him, but he would just sit there and not respond. Davisha said he then walked out of the apartment. That is very odd behavior. Let's just, admit that. That's odd if that's your family, unless you're fighting with them and you're purposely not talking to them, or you just had a bad day, or you're just tired and don't want to talk to anybody. Why would you just go to your sister's house and not communicate? That would be odd because it's odd, meaning it's different from normal behavior for him. Like if he was like that all the time, well then fine. But if that's odd for him, that's different from his regular behavior, then that says something might have been up possibly with him. Something was on his mind or possibly a mental health issue. Davisha also mentioned that Daniel has been talking about meeting a woman recently. It says women, but I think it just means a woman recently, and that he was in love with the woman. She said Daniel told her that this woman told him about an audio podcast to listen to, and that upon listening to it, it changed the way he looks at life. Davisha said Daniel told her the podcast showed him how to view things in the world in a positive energy and to avoid negative energy. Davisha said he told her he was in love with this woman and ultimately made it sound as if they were in a relationship together. I asked Davisha if the female's name was Caitlin, and she said she believed so. I asked Davisha if she had any contact info for her. Davisha said she didn't, but believed Daniel told her address was in Laveen, Arizona. Davisha didn't report any other information regarding Daniel acting odd. Due to this, I asked Avisha if she had any knowledge of Daniel doing and or saying anything that would suggest he, Daniel, wanted to hurt and or unalive himself. Davisha said she has not observed anything like that. I then asked Davisha if he had heard any information from anyone else about Daniel wanting to hurt. So it says he, but I think it means I then asked Davisha if she wanted or if she had heard any information from anyone else about Daniel wanting to hurt and or unalive himself. Davisha said she has not heard anything like that from anyone else. Ultimately, Davisha reported no information that suggested Daniel was wanting to unalive himself or that Daniel wanted to hurt himself. I asked Davisha if she was aware of Daniel using any drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, etc. Davisha said she was only aware of Daniel using marijuana and drinking alcohol. So that's a visit with his sister, and of course there's more, but I can't read the whole thing. I'm going to try to get down to an employee. Let's see. After speaking to Davisha, I was able to blank employees for Matrix Global Water, that's where Daniel worked, identified as Kevin. I informed Kevin of who I was and that I was conducting follow-up in reference to Daniel being a missing person. So this is Kevin. Remember earlier, they got information from his coworker at the site with him named Kenneth, and now they're speaking to a coworker named Kevin. Kevin advised he was aware of Daniel missing from the job site and that he was one of Daniel's supervisors. Kevin said Daniel does in fact work for Matrix Global Water and has been employed with them for about 1 year. Kevin said he was not with Daniel at the job site on June 23rd, 2021, but that Kenneth was, and Kenneth told him what happened. This was the same Kenneth as previously reported. Kevin advised since Daniel has been missing, he has not heard from Daniel and that no one in the company has received contact from him. Kevin said that this was unlike Daniel, as he had never done something like this before while working for the company. Kevin said Daniel did not show up to work today, June 24th, 2021, even though his shift started earlier today. I asked Kevin if he could send me the coordinates to the job site location where Kenneth and Daniel were at on June 23rd. Kevin advised he would. I then provided Kevin with my contact info. I informed Kevin I would contact him back with the outcome of my investigation. I told Kevin to call police if Daniel contacted him or if Daniel's whereabouts were known. Kevin said he would. A short time after ending my contact with Kevin, I received an image from Kevin on my work email. Upon review of the image, it was an image of a screenshot from a cell phone showing the Google Maps application. The image of the map was in satellite view, and it showed the area of Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in Buckeye, Arizona. The image of the map area had red-colored pin marks showing notes of where the job site was located. Okay, and then it goes on as, Kevin sent the police officer more information. So after speaking to Kevin, he contacted Kenneth. Kenneth answered the phone when I called. I informed him of who I was and that I was conducting follow-up to Daniel being a missing person. I asked Kenneth if he had heard from Daniel since he went missing or if he knew Daniel's whereabouts. Kenneth said he didn't know where he was and has not heard from him. I asked Kenneth if he could re-explain to me what happened the day Daniel went missing. Kenneth said he works for another company that works along with Matrix Global Water. Kenneth said the day of the incident, June 23, 2021, was the first time he met Daniel. Kenneth said they drove out to the job site, he in his vehicle and Daniel in his Jeep. Kenneth explained to me over the phone the location of how they got into the location. This matched the image as seen on Google Maps as described above. Kenneth said they got to the job site at approximately 9:30 a.m. Kenneth, when they got to the job site, at times he noticed Daniel appeared to stare off into the distance or would just be staring at nothing in particular. Kenneth said Daniel would talk to him at times, but it was regarding topics that were not related to the work they were there to do. Kenneth said this was odd to him. According to Kenneth, he recalls Daniel asking him, "Do you want to go home? Do you want to go back to Phoenix?" Kenneth said at that time it appeared it was going to rain. Kenneth said he told Daniel he would check the weather application on his cell phone. Kenneth stated as Kenneth, began to look at a weather application on his cell phone, at about 9:45 a.m., he saw Daniel wave to him as if he was waving goodbye. Kenneth said Daniel didn't say anything, walked over to his Jeep, and drove away from the area. Kenneth said Daniel was last seen driving south on the dirt road from the job site. Kenneth explained that if Daniel continued south down the dirt road, he would have come to a spot where the road splits to the west and to the east. He said after Daniel didn't come back to the area, he went looking for Daniel. Kenneth said at this split in the roadway, he saw some fresh tire tracks that went west. Kenneth said it had rained while they were out there, so he believed the rain washed away the tire tracks and the new tracks was from Daniel's vehicle. Kenneth said at one point he went to a part of high ground to scan the area for Daniel, but ultimately couldn't find him. Kenneth told me at some point after Daniel left the job site that he contacted his boss, Steve, informing him of what was going on. Kenneth stated he later received word from Steve and other employees that Daniel did not contact anyone in the company since he left the job site and that no one knew where he was at. Kenneth ultimately reported no behavior or statements from Daniel that suggested he was hallucinating, that he was incoherent, and or was having some kind of mental health issue. Additionally, Kenneth advised Daniel did not make any direct or indirect unaliving himself statements or actions. Before ending my contact with Kenneth, I informed him he needs to report to police any info he obtains regarding Daniel's whereabouts or if Daniel contacts him. Kenneth said he would. Okay, now the police officer is going to contact Caitlin, and this is apparently the young woman who Daniel had been telling people he was in love with. Like he told his father, David, and I believe his sister, Davisha, he had said that he was in love with a woman named Caitlin. So after speaking to Kenneth, I checked the name Caitlin through the NCIC, ACIC, MVD, and Buckeye PD record systems. I was unable to locate any records in the Buckeye PD or the NCIC, ACIC record system. Per the MVD record system, I was able to locate a female named Caitlin Ann blank, date of birth blank. Caitlin's physical characteristics matched the female as blank in the blank account. Furthermore, Caitlin's address listed in the MVD record system showed in Laveen, Arizona. Believing this to be the subject connected to Daniel, I had Phoenix PD respond to Caitlin's address to attempt contact with her. Phoenix PD officer Sanchez, number 8162, called me back a short time later and advised me he was able to make contact with Caitlin at her home. Officer Sanchez advised me that Caitlin was not with Daniel and did not know Daniel's whereabouts. Officer Sanchez provided me with Caitlin's number and said that Caitlin was available for contact if needed. After speaking to Officer Sanchez, I called Caitlin and she answered the phone. I informed Caitlin of who I was and advised her of the situation regarding Daniel going missing. I informed Caitlin that she was not in trouble and that neither was Daniel. I told Caitlin I was only calling to ask her some questions to see how she knew Daniel and if she knew any information that could assist police in locating him. Caitlin said she understood, was willing to talk to me about the situation. Caitlin advised she did not know where Daniel was located and that she had last heard from Daniel via a text message on June 22nd, 2021. Caitlin explained that she and Daniel are not in a relationship and that she has only known him since June 12th of 2021. So she met him on June 12th, 2021, and he went missing June 23rd. So it's a very short time that he first met her. According to Caitlin, on that said day, her and her female friend were at her home, Caitlin's home, and that they ordered food through a service called Instacart. Caitlin explained Instacart was a food ordering service similar to Grubhub and Uber. I was aware that these food services allow a customer user to order food from a selection of places, and upon ordering the food, the employee working for the food delivery service will pick up the food and will deliver it to any location the customer specifies. Caitlin said Daniel was a person who delivered their food that night. So apparently Daniel was working a part-time job for Instacart delivering groceries. Caitlin said Daniel was very nice, and she and her female friend asked Daniel if he wanted to hang out with them at that time. Caitlin said she and her female friend were drunk, and that looking back on it, she shouldn't have invited a stranger into her home. Caitlin said she believed Daniel was harmless, though, as he had only one arm and was short in height. Caitlin advised Daniel and her exchanged phone numbers that night, and she sent him a podcast that he should listen to. Caitlin advised nothing else happened that night, which was odd, abnormal, or criminal. Caitlin said that night Daniel had a canopy which he had in his vehicle, which he left at her home accidentally. Caitlin advised that a few days after that night, June 12, 2021, Daniel sent her a text message that he had accidentally left the canopy and asked her when it was okay for him to come get it. Caitlin said she sent a text message back to Daniel saying he could come by any time to get it. Caitlin advised Daniel sent her another text message saying he could come by right then or tomorrow afternoon. She said he then sent her a text message asking for directions to her home. Caitlin said she never responded back to Daniel as she was out of town at the time. She said while she was out of town, she observed Daniel on her home security cameras go up to her door, attempting to make contact, then leaving the area. Caitlin said she felt that Daniel should have asked for permission to come over to her home before just showing up there. Caitlin told me she also never provided Daniel with her address or directions to her home, so she said he either used the Instacart food order information to obtain her address or remembered how to get to her home. Yeah, I don't think that's odd. I mean, probably remembered because he had been there before and apparently spent some time there, so that's not odd. It would, the information would be in his phone, or he would just remember it from having been there before. And also, she says she didn't like him showing up, without permission or whatever. But didn't she give him permission to come get the canopy? So I don't think that's a big deal. Caitlin said on June 16, 2021, she sent Daniel a text message advising that she had seen him on her security camera, but that she wasn't home. Caitlin said she told Daniel when she came back to town, she will make arrangements for him to get the canopy. Caitlin said Daniel then began to become very creepy, sending her a text message of a heart emoji and sending her a text message saying that he loves her. Remember, she had given him a podcast to listen to, and they had spent hours together at her home, apparently when she was drunk. So, maybe he developed a crush on her. That's possible, obviously. Caitlin said one day after this message, he sent her a text message that he was outside of her home. Caitlin said this made her very concerned. According to Caitlin, she was unsure why Daniel would fall in love with her or be in love with her because, according to Caitlin, she never did or said anything that would make Daniel think she wanted that kind of relationship. Caitlin said what made her more worried was Daniel coming over to her home unannounced, even after being told not to. Caitlin said she sent Daniel a message telling him she did not feel comfortable about him coming to her home unannounced and to ultimately stop talking to her. Caitlin said sent Daniel her last contact from Daniel was a text message from him on June 22nd, 2021. So a day before he went missing, around 1500 hours, which I believe is around 3 p.m., where he said she wouldn't see him anymore. Caitlin said she has since not heard from Daniel. So Caitlin said sent Daniel her last contact from Daniel was a text message from him on June 22nd, around 1500 hours, where he said, apparently Daniel said, she wouldn't see him anymore. Caitlin said she has since not heard from Daniel. So kind of confusing, but I guess Daniel said, so you don't want to see me anymore? I guess that's what she's saying there. Unless it's a, typo, report is wrong, and it was that she told him, I don't want to see you anymore. So who knows? That's confusing to me. Maybe I'm just misreading it. Caitlin said she will screenshot the text messages and will send them to me. I asked her to upload the screenshots into evidence.com via the Axon Citizen capture link. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I informed Caitlin about the injunction against harassment process in the Arizona Point website. I informed her she should make a report with Phoenix PD, but that I would document what she told me in my report. I provided her with the report number and my contact information. I told her to call police if she heard from Daniel or knew anything regarding his whereabouts. Okay, I'm not judging this Caitlin here, and I'm not judging Daniel. I don't know, I don't know these people, but what we can take from this is that, Daniel's a young man, Caitlin's a young woman. And Caitlin and her friend did invite him into their home and spent time with him. So I would say that yes, probably is very likely that Daniel probably believed that Caitlin liked him and that he probably developed a crush on her. Nothing wrong with that. That's normal. Young people, old people, whoever, people develop crushes on people. And if somebody gives you attention sometimes, especially if you're vulnerable or you're lonely, you're in a new town, you don't have many friends or family members nearby, and somebody gives you attention, well, it's gonna make you feel good. It's gonna make you feel giddy. It's gonna, and then plus she gave him a podcast. I don't know what podcast she sent to him to listen to, but apparently that affected him too. So let's just say Daniel was feeling lonely. He was away from his family and close friends. And I don't know how much life experience he had, how many girlfriends he had in the past, but he was in a new area and he met this girl that invited him into her home. They spent some time together while she was drunk, apparently. And, she gave him a podcast to listen to. And so he developed a crush on her. And then she says he got creepy. That's her word, creepy. And so then she tells him to back off or to go away, which is, of course, her right to do. But I do think it's horrible that it's kind of like he was misled or whatever. That's why you never want to lead somebody on like that, and don't invite somebody into your home to party or to hang out because they might get the wrong idea. Hang out with your friends who know that they're your friend. Don't hang out with strangers who you do not know, because they might assume, because it's very normal, assume that you like them or that you want to develop a relationship with them. So that's sad that that happened to him not long before he left, because it goes to his state of mind, and it might be a reason or part of the reason why he has disappeared, why he went missing that day. It could be a reason or part of the reason why he ended up going missing that day. So I don't think he's necessarily harassing her. I think he just had a crush, and I'm not judging her because people handle things differently and people get scared. I understand. You don't never know what somebody's intentions are, but I think first she should have never invited him into her home, and then also she should have just been direct from the very beginning. But being direct from the beginning means you don't invite a stranger into your home to lead them on in the first place. So that's the problem. Because after that, then the crush has developed, and now he's got thoughts going on in his mind doesn't match up with what's in her mind. So that's a sad situation. Let's see. After speaking to Caitlin, I later received notification via evidence.com that Caitlin uploaded 4 images. Upon review of them, it appeared that they were screenshots taken from a phone, which appears to show text message communication between her and Daniel. The following are the text messages between Caitlin and Daniel and the dates, times for them. So let's see what some of their text messages say. From June 13th, 2:29 a.m., Caitlin, she sends that Apple Podcast link to him. Daniel says, hey. And this is very, in the middle of the night, both young people. I can understand why Daniel would think that possibly he had a relationship with her, or a chance at a relationship with her. Hey, I accidentally left my canopy outside your house. Is it still there? If so, is it okay if I pick it up? That's Daniel on June 14th, 7:19 p.m. And he also says, the podcast was great. And June 15th at 1:37 p.m., she responds, yes, you can pick it up whenever. She says, yes, you can pick it up whenever. Daniel, thanks. How do I get there again? I can come now or tomorrow afternoon to grab it. Hi. I saw you on the camera. I'm in Flagstaff and I will be home later tonight. If you want, I can put it out front by the chairs before I head out for work tomorrow morning. Daniel sends a red colored heart emoji on the same day she sent that text, June 16th at 3:12 p.m. Daniel, I'm sorry. 10:13, he says, I'm sorry. Please stop showing up unannounced. So he just, June 16th, 3:12 p.m., he sends her a red heart emoji, and I don't know what goes on between 3:12 and 10:13 because now he's telling her he's sorry. And June 17th at 6:39, please stop showing up unannounced. But I mean, she already told him to come over whenever up here, so I'm just saying. Okay, I won't ever again, Daniel says. Thanks, and I'm looking right now and don't see the canopy in the garage. Don't worry about it. I already have it. I'm confused. I did grab it yesterday. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry for disappearing the other day. At the end of the sentence of this message, Daniel sends a sad face emoji. So he had already got the canopy when he was there. She just didn't see it on camera, I guess. And then he said, I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry for disappearing the other day. I couldn't stop thinking about you. Oh, so he's got a huge crush on this girl. Daniel, can we hang out? Caitlin, I'm not home. Daniel, okay. Daniel, I love you. Daniel, are you home today? It's both on Sunday. 9:36 a.m. Sunday, Caitlin says, honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced made me extremely uncomfortable. But remember, she had said that he could come over whenever to get his canopy. I'm not judging Caitlin. It's just, I'm just trying to discuss Daniel's missing case, but this police report is aggravating me because you see how, sometimes people just don't. I'm sure she's just young. She don't. She doesn't owe Daniel anything. She just met the guy, but I sure wish she wouldn't have invited him into her home when he delivered their Instacart order because I think very well it's possible that Daniel would have never gone missing on the 23rd if Caitlin and her friend had not invited him into their home on that night. I think that may have been a trigger to set off some emotional issues for him. That he's already dealing with some mental health issues from being in a new town with no friends and family members, and he maybe not had a lot of dates in his life. Maybe he's insecure about his having only one arm, one hand. So it says, Daniel says, okay, but do you have any doubt? Either way, I'll have to be okay with your answer. That was Sunday. And then Monday, 11:44 a.m., Daniel says, how are you feeling? And I guess she never responds. So at 3:46 p.m., he says, I'm outside of your place. Uh-oh. So yeah, this is not good. If somebody tells you not to come to their home and you do. No. Let's see. Caitlin, question marks, please stop doing that. I'm not even home. This is not okay. Daniel, I guess it's not. Not you guess. I've told you it is not okay and to not come to my home unannounced. Daniel, are you okay with me? Caitlin, no. Caitlin, this isn't normal or nor acceptable. What is normal? Making plans before showing up at someone's home, and if someone has expressed that you've made them uncomfortable, you need to back off. Daniel, do you hate me? Caitlin, I don't hate you, but please leave me alone. And at 8:46 p.m., Daniel says, you are right. At Tuesday at 3:07 p.m., Daniel, the world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again. Well, this is very sad. So remember, this isn't long before he disappears, so it's just very sad. I'm sorry he went through that. I'm sorry for Caitlin having to go through that too, but this is just all very sad. Okay, so on June 24th, 2021, I had Buckeye PD dispatch contact Tempe PD and requested they check Daniel's home for him and or his vehicle. I later received information from Buckeye PD dispatch that Tempe PD went out to the home but were unable to make contact with anyone there. Additionally, they were unable to locate Daniel's vehicle. Dispatch reported that Tempe officer advised they could see about 80% of the interior of Daniel's home via a window, but that they couldn't see any signs of anyone being home. They went to his home looking for him. He wasn't there. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Remember, this is a 128-page report, and it's online for anybody to see and read. And I'll try to put a link down below my video so people can get to it easy. I'm going to kind of scroll down to see if I can get down to the latest information. I figure maybe it'll be at the end of the report, somewhere near it. Let me just scroll down. Let's see. Okay, let me see. So this is talking about how they checked electronic devices belonging to Daniel. So this is, recently, I believe in May, they're still, working on the case. I guess they want, the public to know that they're working on the case because his father, Daniel's father, has worked very hard to keep this case alive and in the public eye and to keep police working on it hard. So it's talking about electronic devices. Talking about processing those electronic devices. It's where they searched the well. Remember, somebody had reported remains being found in a well or near a well. So they searched that area and they did not find Daniel's body. So it's just a lot of information in this report. Okay, this is talks about Billy, a person named Billy. I'm gonna see if I can find out how they first got in touch with Billy. Apparently, Billy is somebody who said that he had. This is Billy's second interview. It says had a sighting of Daniel. So I'm gonna read this to see if I can get some more facts on it. I've heard about it, but I don't know about this. Let's see. During the course of my, if you hear a noise in the background, that's my dog. During the course of my investigation, I obtained and verified location data related to Daniel's Jeep and phone. This data is previously discussed in the investigative supplement. Based on this information, I found that Billy's original statement of seeing and having contact with Daniel when and where he claimed was not possible. So apparently, some man named Billy had reported a sighting of Daniel, but when police got a hold of the vehicle information, it didn't match up. The location data that they had as evidence didn't match up with what this Billy was saying. But it doesn't necessarily mean Billy was lying or was wrong. Maybe, Daniel wasn't with his vehicle at the time or wasn't with his cell phone at the time. So, but anyway, on October 6, 2022, at about 9:30 hours, Detective Favela and I contacted Billy at his residence in Surprise. Billy answered the door through the garage and blank. I introduced myself and my partner, at which time Billy invited us inside. Upon entering his home, I observed Billy's gold-colored special agent badge laid out on the counter as if it were meant for me to see. I found this odd as the Intertribal Marijuana Group, which Billy works for, only works out of Nevada and California, not Arizona. Billy explained how he primarily works from home. I advised Billy that I have been working this case almost daily for the last year, but needed to close some gaps in the timeline. Billy went through his story about seeing Daniel on June 23rd, 2021. Billy said he was out in the desert scouting for places to shoot air guns with his daughters. He was driving his white Ford Ranger 4x4, which I observed parked in front of his residence. He advised it was very early in the morning, about the time the sun was coming up. Billy said he stopped at the Shell station in Buckeye, Arizona. He then described how he entered the desert area at the Cap Road just south of the gas station. Billy described how he would travel for a bit and then get out to scope different areas to shoot. He explained that his daughters shoot competitively, so he likes to find challenging spots for them to shoot. Billy explained that he traveled along the east side of the Hysa Yampa, heading south in his scouting activities. Billy then said it was about noon that he ran into Daniel. He explained that Daniel was parked under a bush in some shade, and again said it seemed like someone just looking for a place to smoke. Billy said that Daniel was moving a tin box or other object from one place to another in the vehicle, and he was about 10 to 15 yards away when he first saw him. Billy showed me the map again and advised it was in the same spot on the Hassayampa he told me in the past. This spot is about 0.57 miles in a straight line from the crash site. And I know I'm mispronouncing this word, so I apologize for that. But apparently, Billy's sticking with his story. This is their second interview with him, and he's saying that he did, in fact, see who he thought was Daniel that morning. So Billy said that he had a very brief encounter and asked Daniel if he was okay twice and then moved on. In the first interview, Billy advised he asked Daniel about places to target shoot, and Daniel told him he was working in the area, as well as asking if he was okay. So apparently, the police don't believe Billy, and apparently, Billy's statements have been inconsistent. And as many people who like to read about true crime know, for whatever reasons, a lot of people like to insert themselves into high profile cases for whatever reasons. People do a lot of weird stuff, and so people do, for whatever reasons, like to make up stories or like to say they saw somebody who went missing and so forth. So Billy could very well be lying here. So the police officer explained to Billy that through this investigation, I had undisputable data from various electronic sources that shows Daniel was never where Billy claims to have encountered him. I told Billy that Daniel was at the crash site by about 10:05 hours that morning. Billy then advised that maybe he was off on the spot in the time, but claims he is positive he saw Daniel. Detective Favala asked Billy to describe Daniel's clothing, and Billy said he had jeans and a dark shirt but couldn't remember if it was short or long sleeve and did not recall Daniel wearing an orange work vest. I told Billy that my goal was to find out what happened to Daniel and I just wanted the truth from him. I suggested that he might have been motivated by reward money or some other reason, but I knew he did not see Daniel when and where he so adamantly described in the past. He again said that he must be off on time and location. We talked about the trail map he sent me originally. I advised him to send it to me again, and I could compare it to the known locations where Daniel was. Billy emailed me the map image later in the day. After reviewing it, I found that no part of Billy's recorded path comes closer than half a mile from any place where Daniel's location is recorded. So apparently, Billy might very well be lying about seeing Daniel that day. Additionally, the train where Daniel's Jeep was located would not allow for Daniel to have made a straight line drive to the spot where Billy claims to have seen Daniel. The time and mileage data together indicates that Daniel could not have traveled some other path around the rough terrain to that spot. During the interview, I asked Billy if he hurt Daniel, and he said no. I asked Billy if he had anything to do with Daniel going missing or his vehicle being crashed, and he said no. I advised Billy that it is known Daniel smoked marijuana and asked him if he ever met Daniel, sold him marijuana, or smoked with him, all to which he answered no. Billy offered to take a lie detector test. Billy believes he saw Daniel but is not sure about the time or location. The complete interview is audio recorded and uploaded to evidence.com. Okay, so that's Billy. Billy's a witness who claimed to have seen Daniel that day, but police don't believe his story. So let's see what other witnesses they have. On September 18th of 2022, remember, Daniel went missing in 2021, June 23rd, 2021. So this is a report from 2022 in September. It says, I made contact with a female who is identified blank Nicole, and she wanted to report a possible sighting of Daniel. She stated around 1900 hours she observed a man walking on a sidewalk, and the man resembled Daniel in the area of Central Street and McDowell Road. She stated she thought she observed the man with no right hand. She stated he was dressed in a dark-colored plaid, long-sleeve shirt, and also dark-colored jeans. She stated she made a U-turn, and when she did, the male subject was gone. She contacted the Phoenix PD, and she was advised they would send an officer to attempt to locate the individual. I asked her if she observed multiple transients in that area, and she stated yes. I advised her if any further information is needed, the Buckeye Police Department will contact if needed. So this is a sighting. Of course, it's not a verified sighting. I don't know. I don't think the police hold much stock in this sighting. But I mean, Daniel did have a characteristic that would make him be easy to spot, and that he was missing a right hand, part of his right arm. So a lot, there are a lot of amputees in the world, but to see a man matching his description, plus he's also missing the same right hand, that would be definitely somebody the police would need to look at. But apparently they never actually saw the man for themselves. And so this is just some lady reporting it. So this is a public sighting from Nicole from September of 2022. This is more about searches where David's dad organized searches, and they never found, of course, Daniel or any evidence of Daniel during these searches. But of course, somewhere in this report, and as you know, that his vehicle was found, but Daniel has never been found. So anyway, this is a 128-page report that is online. Now, I'll link it below so you can get all the information for yourself. You don't have to rely on the media, because the media just gives, little specks here and there where you can get all the information for yourself. So you can read it for yourself and think for yourself, and form your own theories or opinions. Because you know how the media, they focus on just little, well, they don't have time, but they focus on just little facts here and there, or innuendos. They don't give the details, whatever. So if you really want to know what's going on in a investigation, if you can, read the police reports and hear and listen to what the family members are saying. Don't just rely on the police. Also listen to the family members. Go to the website, pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, to see what the family's saying about the investigation, and then read this report if you want to know the facts of the case as they stand today. But the whole point is that Daniel is missing. The June 23rd is the second anniversary of the day that he went missing. Daniel or his body has never been found. So the police nor his family knows what happened to him. So June 23rd is the date of the virtual candle lighting ceremony that his dad and family is going to hold for him. And you can go to the YouTube channel, Please Help Find Daniel, the YouTube channel, to find out more information about that. It's going to be June 23rd. So it's coming up in just a few days. So June 23rd will be the second year anniversary. And please, if you can, light a candle for Daniel and for his family.